Somebody close the door. There's a draft. I'm Adam Wilborn from WhatCulture. He's Andy Murray from WhatCulture. The WWE draft goes down next week, and we are going to tell you about 10 roster trades that must happen. And you're starting us off. Who have you got?
I've got Roan Perez going to Raw. So, for the theme of this video, I'm going to be doing Raw. Adam's going to be doing SmackDown. I support Aberdeen red. He supports Chesterfield blue. That's how it works. But yeah, first on this list here, moving to Raw, moving up from NXT, we've got Roan Perez. Now, I know that she's the NXT Women's Champion at the moment, and she's technically only just won that belt, so it's a little bit backwards. However, she was on the Raw after WrestleMania. She's been on the main roster television before. She's been in the Royal Rumble, and she's ready for the spot as young as she is. Now, I don't know if you know this about Roan Perez, but she's a new person. She's a new woman. She doesn't even recognize the woman she has become. No. How about she stops recognizing the brand she is on and moves to Raw? Look, I just think it's a natural fit. Once you have outgrown developmental, skill-wise, and I believe she has, as most talented people in that rotten show have. I'm sorry. Roxanne to Raw just makes a lot of sense.
I like that, yeah. I mean, she could arguably drop the title next week at Spring Break-In. She's in a triple threat, defending it against Lyra Valkyria, who she won it off, and Taya Baxley, of course. I'll be honest, I'd rather have the Roan Perez, who was a good girl back in the day in NXT, when I thought she was going to go up to the main roster in 2023, basically. Because I just think she's far better as a babyface, if I'm honest. And I think, then again, we've got so many bloody babyfaces on both shows. I think, yeah, she's been more than ready to go up to the main roster for over a year, a bit like Mello. And yeah, I was going to pick her for SmackDown, but as she's already appeared on Raw, that does seem to make sense. Although, one of my picks later on may completely negate that point. Moving on, my first pick is Big Bronson Reed to SmackDown. I've got a bit of a plan I'm slowly going to put in place through this video. Just getting all the big lads on SmackDown, basically. I love Big Bronson Reed. I think he's really talented. He obviously won the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal. And he seemed to be positioning himself for a shot at the Intercontinental Championship. Unfortunately now, that championship is going to be held forever by Pert Gable. So, I just thought, yeah, if we're not going to do anything with him, and I thought as a sort of, I genuinely think you could build up Big Bronson Reed as a challenger to Cody Rhodes. Not for like a SummerSlam or something like that, but for a payback, for example. I think he could be a great challenger. I think he's really underrated, in my opinion, and you know, he was in that fatal four-way that we saw on the Raw after WrestleMania. I just think moving him to SmackDown freshens him up somewhat. Just a different place, basically. I really like Bronson Reed, though. I'm expecting big things from him this year. Yeah,
he's been a bit stoppy-starty on Raw, hasn't he? And hasn't really perhaps taken off in the ways he maybe would have liked, but he's still been presented well. It's not like they've buried him or neglected him or anything like that. I agree. I think a change would do him the world of good. I think he'd be a fun Cody challenger too.
And also, if you don't want to do that, he could just turn babyface and be a person to kill Logan Paul, which I'm kind of
okay, I'm in 100%. I wish I'd picked him first.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't have Logan Paul, so it wouldn't have worked. My next pick on the list.
Yes.
I've got another NXT call-up, Carmelo Hayes. I know he's done some SmackDown spots. He's done some stuff here and there previously, but he's just had what we believe was his last NXT match this week against Trick Williams in the steel cage. Seems like their beef has been cast off for now, although there are reports that it will eventually continue on the main roster. Well, you presumably think that Trick's going to hang around in NXT and be the face of that brand for a while. But Melo just has to go up. He just has to go up. He's been the champion, all of that stuff. He's been the man on top. You know, what else are you going to do with him? He's had the Trick Williams feud. He's settled the personal rivalries, ticked all the boxes. Got to go up.
Yeah, he's a bit like Bron Breakker. He's done everything. He's done the championship run, he's done the babyface run, he's done the heel run.
Personal feud.
Put people over on the way out. Yeah, don't get me wrong, I'd like to see Trick Mello on the main roster. They've got so much history they can rely upon from NXT. And Mello, he's one of many. I'm going to get into one in a second, or a few people in a second, who've had sort of a dry run on the main roster. He came up for a few weeks and he had some matches, and he's so talented. I don't know whether they could present him as a face or a heel. He could be the heel with that security team that he had in NXT, or he can just be another high-flying baby face. But yeah, another one from NXT. There's a long list of them. We could have arguably made this entire list NXT call-ups to the main roster, because they are spoilt for choice in terms of people who are more than ready for the main roster in NXT. But I think Mello on Raw, it's one of those, I would have picked him for SmackDown, but it's always. Raw's got 3 hours, so you've got a chance to see more
Put more people on.
Yeah, and do more talented
They
things.
just need to fill more minutes.
But I tell you need on SmackDown, Andy Murray.
Skadoosh.
An NXT call-up. Baron Corbin. My God, have I fallen in love with Baron Corbin over the past year. And don't get me wrong, actually, I should say, I really liked when he was like broke Corbin, and then they just sort of didn't really do anything with it.
Yep.
And then he came to NXT, and I thought, well, it's going to be Future Endeavour season pretty bloody soon for this guy. And then he created this awesome team with Braun Breaker, the Wolf Dog. Right?
He's been doing dives and stuff.
Yeah.
What the hell?
He's class. Like, I'm going to cheat a little bit here, right? I'm going to put Braun Breaker in here as well because he's one of a few people, a bit like Mello, a bit like Roxanne, who sort of, like, they're not officially on either show, but they are. So, yeah, Braun's gone SmackDown for sure going forward. He literally has said his goodbye after they dropped the Wolf Dogs dropped the tag titles to Axiom and Nathan Fraser last week. He said his goodbyes to NXT. He's on the main roster. He's going to be a megastar. But if you're not going to do anything immediately with him in terms of big singles matches, just have the Wolf Dogs kick ass on SmackDown. Them straight out of the gate, arguably just immediately dethroning Waller and Theory would be absolutely fine by me.
I'm here for it.
A real career renaissance for Baron Corbin, and they're going to France next month.
Speaking of renaissance,
He's the most over guy there.
there you go. Also, it solves another problem that you didn't. You touched on most of the key points there with bringing Baron Corbin up. The really just weak, spineless leadership we've been seeing in WWE. I think there's a place for a constable. This guy, this Pierce guy, not kind of. Bring him home, bring him back. The Wolf Dogs are absolutely awesome. Every match has been a banger.
Yeah.
Like every single one. There's not many tag teams that can say. Granted, there's only been about 7 of them, but they've all been really good.
Yeah.
And watching Baron Corbin work his ass off has been just a rare treat in 2024. It's been awesome.
Deep Six is such a class move.
Take back what I said about his steaks. That was quite mean.
We'd love to do some cookery with him, wouldn't we?
We would indeed. Get on the channel, Barry. Right, he's more of a breakfast guy, though, I've heard. Kind of cheating with this one. Right, I've picked 4 people.
Oh!
I'm moving.
Okay.
I'm moving. I don't know if I can do this. I guess they could move the Kabuki Warriors as 2, and I don't know.
Yeah.
But I'm moving the whole of Damage Control to Raw because I want to get them away from Bayley. I want them a fresh break from that storyline. I guess an alternative way of accomplishing that could be to flip the women's titles and put Bayley over here and put whoever ends up with
I've seen people say that, yeah.
You could do that, but for me, I think Damage Control just needs something a little bit fresh. It seems like they've tangled with basically every babyface ad nauseum down on SmackDown during EO's reign. Obviously, 4 of them, they're all really great. They're all really awesome. Maybe a bit of fatigue settling in just towards the back end of that Bayley program at WrestleMania for a lot of people. But I think they're just far too good to be denied. And if you put them on Raw with a fresh set of opponents, that's gold.
Yeah, that works for me. Long term, you could turn Kairi Sane babyface because I think fans are just willing to cheer her immediately.
Apart from Mark Henry.
Yes.
He didn't respect this business.
Jesus Christ, it was like 10 seconds, Mark. Chill out, mate. In terms of Damage Control, I think there's an argument to be made that you could arguably have Bayley's like next 3 pay-per-view opponents, but it would get kind of a bit samey. I'd like to see her face Dakota Kai again, and I'm really excited to see what Dakota Kai can do now. But I like this. You could also have them drop the tag titles to the super team of Jade and Bianca regardless, because they sort of go between, and I like this more than Bayley going to Raw, because then we don't get a dreaded belt swap. And actually, she'd be doing a dreaded belt swap with WWE vacant. So.
Yeah, this is it. And I don't think vacant quite has Charlotte Flair's attitude to match the majesty of that first big belt swap.
But yeah, I like that. I mean, I love all 4 of these women, and I think whether they stick doing, tag stuff or singles stuff or even stuff as a group, if they just want to split and just have 4 women kicking ass, they're all awesome. I'm excited to see what they do next with Io Sky as well, because obviously she was great as champion. We all kind of knew she was going to drop the title to Bayley. What next? And is it face or heel? yeah, a nice fresh lick of paint by the moving on to SmackDown. I like that choice.
Let's do it. What's next on SmackDown, Raw, whatever your brand is?
I cannot remember.
SmackDown. Hey!
Oh, yes!
Oh!
Yes!
The Queen of Wrestling.
I forgot about this one.
The Queen of Wrestling.
I love Nia Jax. There is a sentence 2017 me didn't think you'd ever be saying. But she kicks ass. To be honest, there's two options here. Number one, you make her the champion on Raw, now Rhea Ripley's off injured, but I sense probably WWE will put that title on Liv Morgan because it just makes a whole load of sense and she holds that
This would
title.
be more fun though, wouldn't it?
Bailey, yay, I'm the new champion and Damage Control have pissed off. It's all great. Surprise, motherfucker.
Uh-oh.
Nia Jax is here and she's going to kick ass. I love Nia Jax. I think she's been just a transformation when she returned for this run. And yeah, having her on SmackDown, by the way, not just for Bailey, but then we get the dream match. Nia Jax versus Jade Cargill at some point.
Oh my god.
Sign me up for that one. We had a tease of that in the Royal Rumble. Yeah, she's just ace. Not really a lot else I can say about this. I just think in terms of big money moves, got it right here.
She's been great because she's been leaning into like a more, it's not just a monster style because she's bigger than most people in the division, it's a bully style that
Yes.
she's tapped into as well. She has tapped into just being a mean-spirited jackass of a character, and she's done a great job of it. I think with Nia Jax, right, this run has been great.
Yeah.
I often joke match of the year for her and Becky, their first match, but for about 5 hours on the 1st of January, it was my match of the year. It was really awesome. I really loved it. But the thing with Nia Jax, I think the signs were kind of there just before she got released, right? They were almost there. The Nia Jax was figuring this out. There was the "my hole," of course, which is just the greatest ad-lib in pro wrestling history. Don't debate me. And also, remember that weird, awkward, like, punch-up that her and Charlotte had in a match that one time where they were just...
You shooting on each other?
Yeah, they weren't really cooperating and stuff. So the signs were there that chaotic Nia was going to turn into a force for good. I am totally in favour of this. Nia Jax rocks.
Yeah. Bianca as well. You can have a match with Bianca. Like, you spoiled the choice.
Absolutely. My next pick on the list is Big Jim Uso. I'm moving him over to Raw. What I'm doing here is I'm taking what they did with Jay after the split from the Bloodline when they shuttered him over to a different brand, and that allowed them to keep it fresh, to not have to burn through Bloodline stuff every week, to not have to burn through Jimmy and Jay stuff every single week. On different shows, he became a single star, all of that. What we're doing here is we're separating Jimmy from Solo Sikoa, Paul Heyman, Tama Tonga, and presumably Jacob Fatu. We're giving that a chance to breathe. We're giving that storyline enough time to marinate on its own while also having Jimmy and Jay on the same brand so that they can come back together as a tag team, which will take a few months.
Yes.
Because they've got to make up. They can't just go, I love you all of a sudden.
Oh, you're in red now.
Yeah.
Sweet.
But Jay was hesitant in his interview on Raw when he was talking about what happened with the Bloodline at SmackDown. I think this is the way you do it. And then when Roman Reigns comes back to SmackDown, he can cut or whatever, he can come up to Raw and go, guys, these guys are kicking my ass. I need the Usos.
Yeah, I think Jimmy Uso right now, he's lost, isn't he? Like, he's a loser as well. But he's lost. I need kayfabe, guys, come on. He's lost. He's lost his big match with his brother at WrestleMania after pulling his last card of, I'm going to try and trick him and pretend that we're still cool. And she's not even watching, she's on her phone. Right, and then he's been killed by Tama Tonga. Like, what else does he want on SmackDown now? He's like, oh, I'm going to go after the tag titles. I'm going to get a new partner. Cameron Grimes, come on, let's go. Like, no, that wouldn't work. I love Cameron Grimes, by the way. They need to bloody utilise him. Bonus pick, I'm not sure if I'm allowed this. Send Cameron Grimes back down to NXT if you're not doing anything with him on the main roster.
There you go.
But, yeah, and I like the idea of the awkwardness of, like, Jay's there. Jay will be main eventing. Not winning the World Championship necessarily against Damian Priest, but he's in that upper echelon now. And I'd probably have him just go on a bit of a losing streak and just be, well, a bit more of a loser in terms of like, well, no one's going to be friends with him. Like when Jay went there, he's like, I'm trying to make amends. I'm a different person now, split from the bloodline. He didn't choose to be split from the bloodline. He's been kicked out, and everyone's like, you're an asshole. You can change in the hallway, asshole.
You're a loser and an asshole. You can't win.
And Jay slowly's like, I mean, he's my brother. Come on, guys. We can't do this to him all the time. And you, slowly bring that together. I think that's a really good move as well.
And the pop when they reunite for the War Games match or whatever, with Roman Reigns and with Sami Zayn, is going to be absurd.
It would be a story.
It's going to be
man.
How does he do that? He's jacked.
Adam Blair, who we met in America, had shoot blood blisters on his arms from doing that.
Adam, what are you doing, man?
Insane, mate. But it is a storyline, the reuniting the Usos, that my next pick would describe as very entertaining, in the words of Michael Sidgwick. It's Ilya Dragunov, another one of those people you mentioned, Andy, that's already appeared on the main roster, being an NXT star. He's NXT champion. I mean, he could have just dropped it to Tony D'Angelo, but that's a different story. And I've been told specifically by Andy, I'm not allowed to bring the family onto the main roster just yet. Anyway,
who told you that?
Yeah, Ilya Dragunov, another one in that long list of people we said who's deserves to be on the main roster rather than stuck in NXT, and he's gonna kick ass. He already had that hard-hitting match with Shinsuke Nakamura on the Raw after WrestleMania. That was just a glimpse of what this guy can do. I'm not really gonna say a lot more about Ilya Dragunov because, well, I have a scheme in place that I'm going to get to when we get to my number one pick. But Dragunov is so talented, and you can arguably hoy him in there with anyone and he could just kick their ass.
Yeah, I think that if you were to try and argue that maybe he should stay in NXT, and I would not make this argument, but if you were, you might say, this guy is so good at elevating, like developing and lesser wrestlers. Like, he is so good at giving them their best match. Trick Williams is probably the best example of that.
Yes.
From their PLE match, which was a sensational bit of business.
Tony D as well, to be fair.
Yeah, because like
his best match, singles match.
100%, and like we all love like Trick Williams, but he's a developing wrestler, and you love Tony D'Angelo. But again, these are developing guys, and Ilya made them look like $1 million.
Yes.
He's incredible in that role.
And I say he's NXT champion. He's probably not going to be NXT champion by this time next week because he's going to drop the title to Trick Williams at Spring Break.
There you go. So that would be the counter argument. I would not make it because I think he's too good. Put him on the main roster tomorrow. It'll be a great time. Who have I got for my top pick going to Raw?
Go on.
Sheamus. Now, he returned to Raw this week, but he is still assigned to SmackDown.
Yes.
As of WWE.com, so he is still technically a SmackDown wrestler. I am putting him over there for this comeback run, which I'm really looking forward to because I love Sheamus. I hate that he is in his late 40s now and has all these injury problems because he's a guy I would quite like to watch forever. He said recently that actually like 2 months ago he thought he was going to have to retire.
Jeez.
So it's just nice that he's back. It's a triumph that he's still able to do this after the spinal stenosis and all the problems he's had. And look, it's Sheamus. He's best friends with Triple H. He's going to get a mega push. What I'm doing is I'm pushing him as a big time heel. WWE is very top level babyface heavy at the moment, particularly with Roman taking time off TV and the final boss going away for a little while. I'm pushing him as one of the top heels on Raw. I think he can be a great opponent for a babyface champion. I know he's been a popular Cody opponent and Cody's on SmackDown, but I'm sending Sheamus to Raw.
I really like this pick for numerous reasons, like the ones you laid out there. If only also there was another big-time heel on Raw that could be good pals with Sheamus. And someone who arguably could disappear for a bit because he's doing the Summer of Dream.
Unless we forget they are going to Sheamus's backyard of Glasgow, Scotland soon. Of course. So they need him there.
Yes, I like that. And yeah, in terms of the world title thing, I'm one of those people who said when Sheamus came back, let's bring him in to SmackDown. Really good opponent for Cody. As much as that's going to be a banger of a match, you don't buy him as dethroning Cody. I buy him as dethroning arguably anyone who's world champion. He's certainly got another world title reign in him. And yeah, just to clarify as well, like you say, people are like, well, wait a second, he appeared on Raw. Well, let's not forget, Cody also appeared on Raw. And to clarify, the reason why he's not appearing in this draft thing, even though he's one of the biggest names to be drafted, he's the SmackDown guy. Yeah. He's a You look on WWE.com, he's a SmackDown guy. He's the SmackDown champion. Yeah, so we're not going to include him here, but I really like Sheamus as a big move to Raw, giving him the fanfare that he deserves as like one of the top picks.
Big man, big move. Love it.
Right, let's move on to our number one pick. The number one pick for SmackDown, the number one pick in this video. It's Gunther, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, it has to be, for numerous reasons. Obviously, he's just dropped the IC title, and I don't like the idea. He's not. Well, you could easily put him in the world title picture. You could put the entirety of Imperium in here. Just looks more impactful to put Gunther there. Sorry to Kaiser and Vinci, but yeah, it'd be weird to have like Sami Zayn scrappily defending the title, or more likely, Burt Gable killing everybody, whilst Gunther's just like, another match with Dominic Mysterio then, is it? Just nothing on the line.
Yeah.
Move him to SmackDown. You don't even have to bring him in terms of like, right, he's here and he's going to be doing some matches. You just wait. He is the big bad for Cody, in my opinion. And hey, in the interim, if you want him to have some matches with someone that can be really eye-catching, oh yeah, Ilya Dragonov's on this roster now, according to our picks. They literally only do 5-star matches, those two together. So whether or not, yeah, you want to have Gunther be the person who challenges Cody, for example, at Bash in Berlin, or you want to do something just big with him and Dragonov then as well, or you want to say, right, he did pretty good for raising the status of the IC title. Why didn't he do the US title for a bit? Gunther versus Logan Paul, anybody?
Oh my God, I hadn't even considered that as a thing.
Long term, he's going to be world champion. He's probably my pick for the Royal Rumble next year, if not Punk, for example.
You imagine him chopping the head off a Prime bottle, man. That'd be sensational. My goodness.
I just think if I'm drafting, and Cody and Damian Priest, and if the champions are set where they are, he's top of the list for me.
Yeah, I mean, if we're doing a work rate type deal, and I'm drafting a brand and it's draft night and I'm there with the robot and all of that, he's my number 1 pick as well.
This makes me want to play 2K and do a shoot draft now.
Yeah, me too, actually. Like, Gunther rules. Yeah. Like, he's the best Intercontinental Champion of all time. He's a wonderful wrestler who has transitioned seamlessly, stylistically to WWE. He's in the best shape of his career. He's going to be a world champion in this company. I think he should headline the Berlin event, for sure.
I'm so sorry.
What have we done?
I've just realised we've got Braun Breaker and Gunther on the same brand.
Oh my goodness.
Jesus Christ.
Oh my goodness. They're going to snap the hell out of each other. Braun Breaker, it's really sad to see him being the latest victim of Def Rebel on this week's episode of SmackDown. Hopefully, Gunther is one of the themes they got right, so hopefully they keep that one. But yeah, I'm annoyed that I didn't draft him to the show he's already on. Because he's that good. So there you go.
But let us know who you think should be the big draft moves coming next week in the comment section or on X at WhatCulture WWE. Like, share, subscribe, all the usual stuff. And while you're at it, why not check out this video as well?
Yeah, it's a good one. They're all good.
Enjoy the draft. Bye.
Bye.